the fundamental principles of arrow design remain remarkably consistent, highlighting its timeless efficiency.
Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery in our video studios today for a long-awaited product, one I'm excited to tell you all about. This is the Ultraview UV 1K arrow. So, folks at Ultraview are diving into the arrow market. If you know the folks at Ultraview, they like to do things to the highest standard and with a purpose. And so their purpose with UV 1K, they say, cut the noise. Now with an arrow, you're probably thinking that means they made a quiet arrow. Well, they did, but more importantly, their drive was to build an arrow that is complete. In other words, this is an interesting project for me in that this is the first arrow I know of where somebody designed it from point to nock. The entire arrow was designed specifically to function as a unit. We've seen arrows where, they build an arrow and you put components on it. This is an arrow where all of the components on this arrow and the arrow itself, it was all designed to function as a unit. So you notice I have 3 boxes here. That's because there are 3 SKUs with the UV 1K and they are spine. We've got a 250, a 300, and a 350 spine arrow. That's it. So I'll push these 2 aside and we'll dive right in because one of the cool things right off the bat is this box. Look at this packaging. And this box is designed to double as like an arrow tube. It's square, rectangle. But bow cases a lot of times have a rectangular pocket on the front of them that an arrow case fits in. Well, this is your arrow case. So it's super sturdy box, magnetic closure there. Open this up and here are your arrows inside, encased in foam. Now these are built. I have already built these. Your insert and points would not be connected. They'd be full length and then you have to build them yourself. So, but let's talk about these. So what are we looking at? We are looking at a 4.5 millimeter carbon arrow shaft. That is unique. We've seen 4 millimeter, we've seen 5 millimeter. What Colby Hanley said was he didn't want to offer a 4 millimeter and a 5 millimeter. He wanted to offer one. Remember, we wanted to be simple with the 1K. So he wanted to offer one arrow. So they came up with, they did a bunch of testing that they like micro diameter, which is the 4 millimeter, but they liked the lighter capabilities of the 5 millimeter. To get a 4 millimeter arrow, it's smaller diameter, but the grains per inch is actually higher than a 5 millimeter because you have to build a thicker inner diameter, inner wall there. So they wanted to kind of get the best. They wanted the micro diameter of the 4 millimeter, the lower GPI of the 5 millimeter. They settled on 4.5. So this is a truly unique arrow in the marketplace. Incidentally, we should mention that Ultraview designed this arrow. Victory is the one who builds it. So you're familiar with Victory arrows. That's why this probably looks a lot like a Victory. Victory is the one who is building it for Ultraview. 1K, what does that mean? That refers to the carbon weave. You can see this is a woven carbon here. 1K carbon weave is kind of rare in the carbon world. So what is that? That refers to 1,000 fibers per toe. In making carbon, they're bundles. They call it a toe, but there are 1,000 fibers per bundle, just for simplistic terms. And what we see in a lot of woven carbon arrows is we see 3K. So the 1K, the reason Ultraview went with that is that it's lighter. It has a very high weight to strength ratio. In other words, it's pretty light, but super strong. So these have a 0.001 straightness tolerance. And they're just, as I mentioned, just super straight coming right off the mandrel. So there's not much sorting that has to be done there. They are weight sorted. And so they are guaranteed to be within a half grain of each other, the arrows. But these are the 300 spine, incidentally. So these are going to be 8.7 grains per inch. Your 250 is going to be 10 grains per inch. 350 is going to be 8 grains per inch. If you're familiar with GPIs for arrows, that's pretty good. But anyway, let's weigh one of these. This is a completely built arrow. It's got the point and all the components in it. So we're coming up with 469 grains, okay? 469, everything's off the ground. 469, so identical, absolutely identical. Let's take a third one. 468.6, remember, within a half a grain. So there's 3 arrows, they are definitely within a half a grain there. So, but let's go back through the arrow here. So starting at the end here, we have the AAE IP knock. And even though this is a 4.5 millimeter shaft, you'll notice there is a little collar there. The knock is black and the collar is too. You can probably see it there, but it's hard to see. So that collar necks it down. So these are 4 millimeter knocks. Then coming down, we have a white wrap, and these are custom made vanes on here. So this is a custom wrap that UV came up with. You can see that unique shape there. They're calling this chevrons at the top and the back there. Only going to be available in white wrap, white vane. Again, remember, we're going with simplicity. This is meant to be sold as the ultimate hunting arrow. White, that's a great color to have. So, you know, when you're tracking a deer or when you shoot a deer, you can see if you got blood on there. You can see different kinds of entrails to see what is on your vane. White is the perfect color for that. There is no color option. White is it. All right, now coming down to the vane. This is a special vane designed and built by UV. It is injection molded. And the reason UV went with that is because it allows them to do more to manipulate the vane than simply by stamping through the stamping process. So if you look at this vane, first off, it's a unique size. It is 2 13/16 inches long. Remember, this arrow was designed as a system. So they tested many different shapes, sizes, configurations of vanes to come up with this one. And this is a hunting arrow, so this vane is designed specifically for optimum steering of this 4.5 millimeter shaft with a broadhead. That's going to be the key. They want optimum broadhead steering. But anyway, as I spin this vane a little bit, you're going to notice an interior triangle. It looks like it's just a little bit darker in color than the rest. What it is it's actually thinner material there. So Ultraview wanted thicker material up top and at the back, and then they thinned it out in the middle. That's for aerodynamics. In their testing, they found that allowed these vanes to steer the arrow better. So that's why you're going to see that material in there that has been taken out. Also, they rounded some of the edges. You might expect to see a point up here, but they flattened it out. All that was done in their aerodynamics testing to get the best flight out of this. There's a texture on it. That texture is something that helps to kill noise. Just a good steering vane that is also quiet. And it is hand-fletched. All these arrows are hand-fletched at the factory by Victory. And the way they are fletched is you're going to see a 2-degree left offset. Remember, no options. This is how they come. This is your choice. 2-degree left offset. So another thing that Victory is going to do for you at the factory while they're fletching these is right here, you're going to see spine aligned, right there written on the arrow shaft. So every arrow, when Victory builds them, is spine aligned so that that line is facing up. Compound bows, when we're shooting carbon arrows, we want that thickest part of the spine, the what we call the high spine, facing up. And what it is it's going to be the stiffest part of the arrow. We want that facing up. So you can see already where that line is. You can see I have a vein facing straight up along that line. So then my nock, I just orient that so that this vein is up, and then I know my spine, my high spine is facing up. Then coming down the arrow, so we get to our front end here, our components. And so this is a glue-in insert, outsert, if you want to call it that. It is a standard one that Victory makes. It's got a steel insert, that's what's glued in. And then out here, this is aluminum. This weighs 75 grains. So you're adding 75 grains with this insert outsert to the arrow system. And then lastly, they even design their own field point. So what you're looking at here, you're going to see a little O-ring down there. So what's one of the most annoying things about field tips when you're shooting? They come loose. You keep having to tighten them to keep them in there. With that O-ring, that is what Ultraview came up with in order to keep these things in place, keep them from spinning out. I've been shooting these for 2 days. I haven't had one come loose yet. And then you can see here the field point fits perfectly. I actually can't even feel. You can see a line where the field point meets the insert, but when I run my finger over it, I can't feel it at all. So that's great for pulling out of targets. You're not going to have anything snag. And then lastly, these field points are coated. It's the same coating that Ultraview uses on their stabilizer weights. So that's just going to prevent this thing, you know, from rusting, getting scratches and dings on it. Just going to keep it looking brand new, you know, after some serious use. One thing else I wanted to back up about the arrow shaft here. This does have Victory's ice coating. So that is a coating on top of it. You can see how shiny it is. And what I'll describe it is it's really smooth and slick. You're not going to be up there putting your foot on the target in order to get leverage to pull your arrow out. So ice coating just makes that super slick and easy to pull out of targets. All right, so a couple things to talk about with the UV 1K arrow. First off, you know, we have to talk about that price tag. As we're making this video, these are going to be offered $220 for a 6-pack. Now, that may give sticker shock to some folks, but the way Colby Hanley describes it is, first off, you know, he said he wanted this to be simple. You go in, and if you want to build your own arrow, sort of your own version of the ultimate arrow, you're taking different shafts, different components, different veins. You know, have you done the testing to see which vein works with this diameter arrow? How about your components? You know, there's a whole lot you would have to do in there to come up with what actually is the ultimate arrow. So UV did all that for you. So, you know, everything that's designed here is designed to work as a unit. So what they've said is for the person, bow hunter, tack shooter, whatever, who just says, hey, I don't want to have to go through all that. I just want to shoot the best arrow. UV built this as that option, that you can come over, take this off the shelf. It has everything you need. All you got to do is cut it, glue the insert in, and you're ready to go. Everything else is taken care of, and you can trust that it all was designed to work together. So they already did all the engineering, the R&D to figure out what works best. You know, that's how they came up with that 4.5 millimeter diameter, that was the perfect option between 4 millimeter and 5 millimeter. So one of the things with this 1K carbon, you know, they tested a lot of different carbons for what we'll call the recovery rate. So, and that is, you know, when a carbon arrow comes out of a compound bow, there is some flexing and then it stabilizes. And what the folks at Ultraview found was that this 1K carbon weave in a 4.5 millimeter, they said it recovered faster than other arrow shafts that they tested. Why is that important? So you want that arrow to recover quickly so that it's only going downrange. Obviously, if it's the more it's fighting to get straight as it's flying, that can affect accuracy. If the wind hits it, then it can push it. Especially if I'm shooting at distance, I see a little wiggle coming out. It corrects itself and keeps going downrange, but the less you ask an arrow to do, the more accurate it's gonna be. All the, you know, vanes and everything is done to steer that arrow. The less it needs to do, man, the more accurate, the better speed you're gonna get, all that stuff. And what I noticed just in shooting in 2 days, I never noticed one of these have a wiggle. I guarantee you that's not my shooting. This arrow's just where I can see the fletching. I mean, this is bright white, so I can see it. But by the time I can see it, it's already fixed. And like I said, with other arrows, I'll occasionally see a little bit of a wiggle. All right, so you're sitting there thinking to yourself, hey, what happens if I knock a fletching off? What happens if I do break a knock? Actually, breaking a knock's the easiest, but the fletching. This is unique fletching, and this wrap is a unique wrap. You're not gonna find this anywhere else. Ultraview will be offering what they call Re-fletching Kits. They're not going to be selling vanes individually. They're not going to be selling wraps individually. You'll have to buy the Re-fletching Kit. I haven't seen one yet, but it's going to be enough vanes and wraps to re-fletch 6 arrows. So each pack, you know, you buy them in half dozens, your Re-fletching Kit is going to be geared towards that half dozen. All right, so if you want to see the Ultraview 1K arrows on our website, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.